Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Christine with Patter Crafts, and today we are going to make a magnetic bookmark using the stamp set Bookworm by My Favorite Things. I also have the coordinating die. If you don't have the coordinating die with the stamp that you'd like to use to make a magnetic bookmark, you definitely can just fussy cut the image. So I'm going to be using my Misti, and I have a piece of white 110-pound Recollections cardstock. Going to stamp our image. I do need to stamp it a couple of times because my Memento Tuxedo Black ink is getting a little dry. I think I need to replace it. So we're going to stamp that a couple of times. And I'm using the Memento Tuxedo Black because I am going to be using Copic markers to do the coloring. So once I'm done the stamping, I'm going to grab my Martha Stewart scoreboard. You can use any scoreboard that you have. You could use your paper trimmer if you need to, but we just need to get a score line. I am scoring right above her hairline. I still want my score line to be sort of on the image, but not too far into the image, if that makes sense. So I've got my die here, and I decided I wanted to use some washi to hold down that piece of paper so that the die cuts exactly where I want it to be and it's not off at all. So I'm also going to use a piece of washi to hold that die in place. Now I'm not sure if you can see there, but the die, the top cutting edge where her hairline is, where that score is just a little above the score line, so we're not going to cut that. So I ran that through my Cuttlebug, and we are now taking off our washi, and I'm going to check and make sure this cut the way I wanted it to. And it did. Yay. You can see my cutting mat's a little beat up there. So that cut exactly the way I wanted it to. So now I'm going to bring in my craft mat because I'm going to be using Copic markers, and I don't want it to bleed through to that second cardstock underneath. I know it'll bleed through that first layer, but I don't want it to go into that second layer. So I'm going to leave the numbers of the Copic markers below in the description. I don't have them here with me as I'm doing the voice recording for this video, but I will I will leave the numbers below. So I am first coloring her skin. I'm using 3 different colors that coordinate. I did purchase the Copic set, trying to remember what the name is. I will link that below. But basically, their skin, I think it's skin tones, and that set's been really great to help me figure out like which markers I want to use for skin tones. So I'll link that below in case you're interested. I did purchase mine at Michael's using a coupon. I think it was 40% off one. So it's a great way to kind of get Copic markers as well. So now that I have her skin finished, I'm going to grab some blue Copic markers. There's 3 different blues here to color her jeans. So I'm going to go in with my lightest color here. And I'm just using what I have on hand. If I have 3 colors, I use 3 colors. If I have 2, I use 2. And if I don't have colors to shade with, sometimes I just use a blender pen. Because that can help you get a similar look if you don't have the shading markers that you really want to use. So I laid down the lightest color of blue. I went over the outer areas with the medium color blue. Then my darker blue I'm using along the edges, coming back in with my medium shade, blending that towards the center, and then kind of going over the whole thing again with that lightest color blue. Okay, so now we're going to color in her shirt, and we are going to use 3 different color purples. So I'm using the lightest shade purple to color over her entire shirt. Then I'm going to come in with my medium shade and kind of go along those edges that I think would be a little bit darker. And finally coming in with my darkest purple color and just kind of touching a little bit where I think there'd be a little bit of a shadow or a little bit of a darker color. And then I'm going to do kind of what I did with the jeans. I'm going to come back in now with my medium shade and kind of just blend that out, that darker purple out, and then go over the whole thing again with my lightest purple color. Now I don't really have any dark grays or dark enough grays to sort of be blackish in color for her shoe, so I did grab some of my Spectrum Noir markers, and I'm only using 2 shades of gray. I'm just kind of using one to color the shoes completely, and then another to just kind of touch in to the parts of the shoe that I want to be darker, which are her strap of the shoe and the sole of her shoe. Then I did go in with that first gray again and just kind of blend and make sure that the darker gray wasn't, had any harsh lines. So here I'm going in with my lightest shade of Copic gray marker, and I know that happens to be C3 because that is my lightest shade. And here you see where I bring in that blender pen because I don't have a lighter color gray than the C3. So I'm using my blender pen to just kind of, I put the C3 along the edges of the book, and then I went in with the blender pen to kind of like soften that up and blend it out a little bit. And that's what I meant earlier when I said if you don't really have the different shadings, you can use your blender pen. And with the books, I just kind of like went over the top one with a red marker, a red Copic marker. And same here with this second one. These book covers, I did not do any shading at all. The lines are really small. And for me, that would be really, I didn't really see what there wasn't really any way to get any shading. Then I used a green Copic marker on that last book, and then the book in her hand, we're going to just use some yellow, and I am using 2 shades of yellow. I only have 2 shades, so that's what we're using today, kind of using the lightest first, and I'm kind of leaving like a little white line in the middle of that book, going along the outside of the book with that darker yellow, and then just coming back in with that lighter yellow and flicking the darker yellow out. Then I didn't really like that white spot, so I did grab a Spectrum Noir marker that was the CT1. It's kind of a citrusy color, and I just kind of went over that little white space. So with her hair, I'm just putting in a little purple for her little hair ties and adding some more of that C3 to the inside of that yellow book. All right, now we finally get to her hair. And again, I'll link these colors below. I'm not exactly sure what they are. And I can't quite see the numbers on this video as I'm recording. I'm so sorry. I will try to make sure I leave a list for myself as I'm doing these projects. So for her hair, now with these Pure Innocence images, they just kind of like make a line for the hair. So I pretty much just kind of follow the lines for the hair. I don't do too much blending except maybe with the lightest color marker at the end. I just kind of take the color and follow the line. So now that our image is completely colored, I am taking some of this magnetic tape. Again, I'll link that below. I picked it up, I don't know, either Michael's or I might have even picked it up at Walmart. So to make sure those 2 magnets line up, I put one on top of the other, peel off the backing, and there you have it. That is our cute little magnetic bookmark. So I am going to grab a piece of paper here. This is an envelope to show you like it does hold. So there we have it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button. But until next time.